Right, golfers, today I've got 3 grips in my hand here that I've put on some clubs that might change the way you practice, like forever. I've got a real student who I put these grips in their hands and you'll see their reaction. It shocks. It shocks them how they maybe haven't thought about this or been told this before. I've got a grip on a wedge, which a guy who we got on the video who was a little wobbly with his chipping was like, oh my God, that's fantastic. One on an 8 iron, which will show you what we can do with that. And the most funky one coming at the end, so stick around for the end, is this flat fronted one that absolutely changes people's ideas of how to control the golf club. Let's show you what I mean. So grip number 1 is I've got a lob wedge here, 58-degree wedge. And if the face is straight there, the grip is straight there. So what I've done is I've put the grip on relationship to what people would know as an open face. So basically, if I hold the grip, the face is pointing that way, so a bit more to the sky, what people call open, that being straight. And then in turn, what this does is it gives people the feeling of the bottom of the club so much more. Now, where this grip works so well for golfers, and if you've got a spare wedge, putting one on this way could really help you get the feeling, A, of using the bounce. So you'll feel like you just can pop that ball up. You see, it doesn't always have to go super high. That came in at a reasonable height. It was really allowing me, you can see my impact there. See that scrape there? See the scrape there? So basically there, from what I call them out, I just took the leading edge out of it. So it really gets people to believe in starting to try and produce a more shallow, bouncy kind of wedge shot. No, don't go in on camera. Not with a grip like that. And obviously as well, what it's really good for is out of bunkers. So one of the biggest problems I see with students is you tell them in a bunker so they address it. And I say, well, let's try one with the face maybe a little bit more pointing up to the sky. So let's twist it around the axis of the shaft. And they have this internal battle between doing it with their grip to twisting their hands in. As matter how much I tell them, look, grip it with the face pointing more at the sky, you can see them not quite getting it right and then adjusting it on their own when they're practicing. And I think, well, that grip's so strong now, you're probably going to get some releases, which get some digs. And exactly the same thing happens with chipping when you try to get them to just engage a bit more bounce. They do it, but they grip it and then they turn their hands around, which, yes, opens the face, but now their grip's so contorted that we start seeing some different release patterns down at the bottom, again, making for horrible releases down at the bottom. Now, this is what happened when I showed it to a pretty decent player. It's Ben, who I work a bit with on the Golf Shop Online videos. If you haven't seen them and you're looking for some buying advice, go and check them out. This is what he thought of the grip. So grab that wedge, Ben.
Yep.
And grab the grip. So hold the grip, not the face, if that makes sense. Then put it down. What does that make you feel like?
I mean, that club's pointing straight back at me, up to the sky, like it's open.
Lofted, isn't it?
Yeah, very lofted.
Does it make you feel like you can feel the bounce? If you do a couple of practice swings, just back and through, can you feel how the back of that club's going to be hitting on the ground and maybe the sole and the leading edge is not?
Yeah, absolutely.
So basically, with the way that grip is on, it's kind of just activating the bounce, because the big problem I see is people set the face and then I say try and activate a bit of bounce and they twist their grip.
Yep.
But that one to you makes you, I mean, you're a little bit nervous with these shots. You want to hit one, see what happens?
A little bit. We'll see how we go.
Nice strike. Yeah, lovely
Almost
shot.
hold it.
Oh, he's holding it.
He has hold it.
He's holding it. So it's quite a unique feel, isn't it?
It is. It's almost, I like it though. It's nice when it feels flat on the floor. It's just, yeah, I like it.
And he's a little flinchy with his chips, and he was amazed at how simple that made the feeling of trying to get that bounce involved at the bottom. And we're on a pretty muddy UK autumn course there, and he felt like he could really start ripping through with his strike, purely because that bounce through the grip was forcing him to try and change how he used this club. So this grip isn't aligned, so it's got this ridge on the back, so you can really feel where your hand should be on the grip. So not only is it the logo in on the front that does it, but it's the bigger line on the back as well that makes them feel that their hands, if you just disconnect the face, that's where I put my hands, and then they see where the face is and think, oh no, keep the face where it is, and then hit some. Great for getting them to use this. Now, in contrast to that, grip number 2, I'll show you I think the most amazing grip for people at the end, because it is just such a stunning one. and so many people it can help. But this one is the opposite to the wedge. I've got this on an 8-iron, and I've basically got the grip set. So again, by using the align on the back and the logos on the front. So if I align my hands to the align and the logos on the front, the face is at that angle. So that would be straight. Now we got the face, what, 20, 25 degrees closed. And the idea with this grip is to try and get people to understand how to hit the ball with handle lean. Because I want them to try and not hit the ball left, meaning they've got to get their hands way forward to hit it, otherwise that ball is just going left. So putting a grip on at this angle, so this is just one of my old 8-irons, ZX5 8-iron that I don't actually game anymore. It helps people understand the contradictions in loft, so how to try and take loft off. You'll be amazed how many golfers that we teach day in, day out that add loft. One of the biggest problems with amateur golfers is when they hit shots, they actually add loft to like an iron. They don't take it off. Good players, 9.999 times out of 10, they're de-lofting. They're not adding. Amateurs far too often are adding loft. Now, if you think about adding loft, so turning the club more up to the sky, that's also why we then start seeing these impacts. If you're in the comments below, let me know. You someone who sees these kind of chicken wingy, handle back, head forward, casting, people call it, ideas, throwing the club forwards. Do you see those kind of impacts? I see them day in, day out with students sending me swings, and students, physical students as well. That's loft management, or the lack of. Having this club set on where that's the appropriate place to hit it because the grip's contradiction to the face is a great drill that I use with so many students to try and get them to try and get a better relationship with their face in relationship to open and closed, but also loft, de-loft and adding loft. This club, predominantly de-lofting. So the game with this club is you've got to hold neutral grip to let the face be closed, and now the game is you're not allowed to go left. So you can see how I've hit that straight to slightly right. To do that, I've had to really push forward, to over-exaggerate how far my handle is pushing that club forwards. That completely changes how I work in the ground. I put this grip on this club. I used to do it years ago when I was teaching full time. And I put this grip on the club for me as well because I'm someone who gets a little bit this way at impact. This grip makes me really feel like I want to back up to let the hands come through and de-loft. So it actually even helps me with my pressures in the ground, having this relationship between grip and face. Again, if you're someone who struggles to control loft, you maybe struggle to control face. It always goes off to the right. You see these images of you kind of collapsing through impact. Putting a grip on around 15, 20 degrees close to a face and then trying to manage that face dynamically will teach you some completely different movement patterns, which if you can start to interact them or integrate them into your normal swing, you're going to see, I just gone left, but you can see it's not turning anywhere near as much as the grip wants. I'd be quite happy with that. Again, that impact is way more forward than I would go naturally, and where I want to be, I get a little bit this way. This grip is a fantastic way of hitting shots to warm up, to train, use the ground better, and to use loft way, way better. And the last one, and I used to do this loads when I was teaching full time. I still do it with students now. And this is such a great tool for you if you're struggling to control or understand where the club face is as you hit the ball. Let's show you what Ben did with this grip. So what do you think of that one then?
That one is a little bit more strange, I'll be honest. Doesn't quite feel so natural, that one.
Yeah, that one is definitely going to feel strange. Does it make sense how that flat leading edge could now relate to that face?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you go back to first parallel for me, so just do a backswing, come back to first parallel. Obviously you can't look at this position in a club,
no,
you know, when you're swinging. But if I start moving you this way, can you feel how that flat face is completely moving around?
Yes.
Go to first parallel on the way through. Same here. So if I wanted you to get the flat grip more, see how you're holding that way off. Let's say I want the flat grip pointing more up at the sky. So no, sorry. So the flat grip is there you go.
There we go.
Can you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
This grip will make you connect to this face in a completely different way that a round grip maybe people struggle with.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you can really feel that.
If you go up to the top of the backswing for me and stop, a key position again where people can't control the face. So let's get the flat grip turning more up to the sky. Like, yeah, there we go. And in your mind, that's going to close the face.
Yeah.
And then if you get the flat grip pointing more at your head, that's going to open the face in your mind. See how the connection between face is now much more interpreted in here, which is what most good players are doing. They're aware of where that is by where their round grip is.
Yeah, I don't need to see the face for that whatsoever.
You can feel it?
Yeah, that's really cool.
So he found this one curveball at the start, but when I explained to him a little bit of what it was meant to do, you could see him just having light bulb moments of thinking, oh yeah, I can really feel where that face is via the flat front of this putter grip related to the face. So basically I've put the grip on where the face is the flat front of that grip. So subject to where that grip points, so as I hit the ball, my connection with it is through the hands onto this grip. Now that flat face, if I want that face to be more closed, I'm going to feel that fat face turning down. If I want it more open, I'm going to feel the flat face of the grip more up to the sky. I could do that through different parts of my swing. So first parallel like we did with Ben, you can really feel it because you've got a tactile feel of the face right on your grip and touching your hands. This is a great tool to take to the range, practice area, to get the feeling of how that face is working. I am stealing this idea from a tour pro. I went and visited Scott Fawcett, who's famous for creating a decade system. If you haven't heard of that, check it out. It's a system that many tour pros use to make sure that their course strategy is as good as it can be. If your course strategy isn't very good, Scott Fawcett's definitely someone you should check out. And a tour pro came around to use his indoor hitting room that we were just hanging out in. And he started hitting a few wedges, and he had 3 wedges with putter grips on. And he had the putter grips on to feel where the face was with his wedge when he was making he was literally just hitting like 20 yards, 40 yards, 60 yards, really drilling in his short game. And I just thought, yeah, that's such a good idea. I mean, it's something I used to do years ago with students with putter grips on irons. I just kind of forgot about it and let it kind of drift off. And it was like, oh yeah, let's get that back on. So a great way of really feeling the face through your hands. When you think about it, you can't feel the face. You can only feel the face through what you're doing with the round grip. If the flat face of this putter grip allows you to have a much better connection to the club face, a good connection with the club face is absolutely key to controlling different sets and positions you hit throughout your swing that will control impact, which then in turn directly control where your ball's going, what shapes are going on it, those kind of ideas. And the other bonus with having the flat front on the front of the grip, and this is something when I gave it to a couple of people recently, they kind of clicked onto this idea, again, handle lean. They really felt the idea of pushing that kind of flat front forward to get rid of any kind of flippy impacts. That really connected with them. So rather than just feeling positions here, they felt that flat grip more as hitting the ball, which allowed them A, to control face left and right, but also really control what feelings of handle lean they were having, almost like they were hitting it kind of this way. The putter grip on your iron, it's the worst feeling out of all of them, as in, like when you hit shots, it doesn't feel particularly great. It's harsh, it's firmer and tougher. But you don't have to hit full shots, you could just hit little half shots. It's just getting that feeling of that connection of the face. You don't even have to go at speed, but your club face control, if it's something you struggle with, this grip, honestly, it can transform your ideas of relationships from the bit you're holding to the bit that's hitting the ball. These are great ways of practicing. These are really good ways of breaking a movement pattern, forcing you into some different feels and forcing you to start to learn some different feels. It's so simple, and if you've got any old clubs kicking about, grips aren't crazy expensive. Go and see a pro, tell them what you want, point them in the direction of this video saying that I want something like this. If you work with a pro and you're working on similar ideas, take these ideas to them. And if they think it'll work for you, get it on a practice club, work it into your practice regime. It can shift the needle in how you play many golf shots. And that's what's so good with it. It can be forced shifts. So you just drill yourself with these clubs, constantly putting it into your practice regime, and they will start to bleed out into your rounds rather than you guessing if your hands are in the right place, if the handle's in the right place, those kind of ideas. This will kind of force it. Let me know if this helps. Thanks for watching. As always, post comments down below. Have you tried this, heard of this before? If not, I'd love to hear.